All right, so welcome back to Conversate with Akeem D. Earl, and I'm here with Miss Isaro Carter. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, of course. So the official Conversate opening question is, if I was not an attorney, I would be a what?
Probably a doctor. I wanted to be a surgeon, but organic chemistry did me in. Yeah.
That was it. What was this? This was high school, college?
Yeah, in high school. So I went to a school where my major was gateway to medicine. So like from middle school, I was like, I can be a doctor. And senior year of high school, we were taking anatomy. I was killing it, but then orgo came around. That was my Achilles heel. Like
I was like, no more.
We couldn't do it. I personally think that like my not professor, I guess like my teacher just passed me because she felt bad for me, and I was trying, but it just didn't click.
She just gave you a little something. Like, just go ahead.
Yeah, just graduate, girl. This is the only class. Just graduate.
What made you want to be a doctor? It was just one of those things like doctor, lawyer, firefighter. It's like you just chose one, or
so my parents are immigrants, right? I have a Jamaican dad, Rwandese, East African mother. So what that is: lawyer, doctor, engineer.
Got you. Yeah.
My dad kind of gave it a little bit more leeway. He was like, if you want to be an artist, I will also support you in doing that, which is crazy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I did want to be like in entertainment at first. Like I wanted to be a singer, and then very quickly realized that's not going to happen. I don't have the pipes. I don't have it.
What moment was that? Was it like a talent show? Was it church? Like what? How did you find out?
Like when you're a kid, you have like your little tapes, and so like I had like a cassette tape, like recorder thing that I was fiddling with, and so I was like, okay, let me record myself and see what that sounds like. No, I didn't like it. I wouldn't show it to anybody. I had since destroyed the tape.
Usually kids have like this unnatural confidence, but even as a kid, you were like, no, I know this is not it. This is definitely not happening.
Play to my strengths, and if I don't got it, I let somebody else who has it like do it. I'm not gonna. Yeah.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Who was your favorite singer growing up?
My favorite singer growing up? Okay, so I've been a Beyonce fan since she came on the scene in 1998. Like, she's my favorite.
So who, Beyonce?
Beyonce. She's been my favorite, like, since I was a child.
Wow.
But if we're talking vocalist, for me, it's a constant, like, struggle between, like, Brandy and Whitney.
The vocal Bible.
You understand? Because she knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
There's just something, I don't know, like, when I hear them, I don't know, like, I love their voices. I'm also Jamaican, and there was, like, this other guy named Garnet Silk. He was an amazing vocalist, but he
Got you.
He had pipes.
And he killed it. And so you compared your voice to theirs and like, yeah, this is not it.
If I wasn't going to be like that, it's really no point.
It made no sense.
It didn't make no sense.
Hilarious. All right, so Dr. Singer dreams died. How did you transition into attorney goals? How did that happen?
So I kind of just leaned into my strengths, I guess. So and kind of my passions. I've always been like a nerdy kid, so like I'm always reading something. I'm always trying to know, like, okay, so how did this get here? How did this come to be? So I'm reading the liner notes in like all of my CDs, all of my cassette tapes. The kid that's gonna sit there like after a movie and look through all the credits to see like who did what, and then go back and Google like who are these people, who are these companies, what is a line producer, like who are these people? So I wanted to play like the behind the scenes thing. Once I knew that I wasn't going to be with the camera. And then I was like, okay, just digging through and like reading all of these things in like this entertainment business news. I started seeing like as a kid and like, an early teen, one of my favorite artists, like from the 90s, early 2000s, like all of a sudden bankruptcy here. I don't own my master's there, like all this different stuff. I'm like, what's going on? Like these people have access to like the biggest names in entertainment, like as far as like managers and entertainment lawyers and all that. Like what's going wrong? And it was just seeming like early on they didn't have the representation that they needed to make sure that like their contracts and like all their ducks were in a row. Just when they were starting, like when they were getting their foot in the door. Because like sometimes people feel like I've never been in this space before, I've never done this before, I'll do what I gotta do to just get my foot in the door.
I see them. I see the dollar sign. I see how much those zeros are. I'm not gonna read anything else. I'm just gonna sign and go about my day.
Exactly. And sometimes these people will pretend like play in your face, like they're cool, like they're your friend, they're looking out for you. But the thing is, they're looking at you and seeing dollar signs. And so
do
if
they
they
really
could
do that?
pass
I always hear that. I always hear that in the industry. They will sit down at that table and smile in your face, knowing that you signed your whole life away in that contract.
And they'll pay for your lawyer. Why are they paying for their lawyer and your lawyer? Come on now. We've heard it. We've seen it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my whole thing was like, okay, dang, these are the people who are the tastemakers of cool. We hear their music everywhere, like all across the world. Everybody, like, in one way or another, either looks up to them or like turns to them to like have like some form of escapism, like in their life, right? They just bring joy, happiness, and like just, it's the arts, right?
Right.
And it's just impactful, like no matter where you go. And I was like, dang, like these people are really, really impactful on so many people's lives, and then turn around, they can't like eat off of the fruits of their labor. That's not right. That's not cool.
Yeah.
They've impacted me so much. I'm like, dang, how can I help? So I was like, all right, let me be a lawyer. Let me be a lawyer for like people who are up and coming and like just, you know, starting to get their feet wet, or like need to have somebody in their corner who's going to tell them, hey, look out for this and look out for that. And if somebody's telling you this, think twice about it. Like, make your own decisions, of course, but consider that everything is not going to be what it seems, and also consider that what they're telling you might be the industry norm. It's really deep.
Right. Trying to play you. Got you.
Yeah. So basically, people try to play you. Don't get played.
Straight up. As soon as the person walks in the door, do not get played. That's the first piece of advice. So you knew this before going to law school? This was the year? Wow.
Yes. Because, you know, that Oreo hit me. I said, okay, so what's this entertainment, this music industry looking like? What's this looking like?
Chemistry not doing it. It's not, It
wasn't clicking. And it's sad because my dad was a chem major. And so...
his dreams.
It's all that.
He's not following his footsteps no more. No, I got
you. It's all that. And I'm the firstborn. Like, come on. Why did I do that? But it's whatever.
I'm sure he's still proud. Anyway. He's still proud.
Yeah, I think so. I hope so. Put off, okay?
Yeah. So, all right. So you knew this before law school. This was and during college you knew this too. Like you felt like the plan was to go to law school the whole time. What did you major in college?
I did applied psych, so I got a bachelor's of science in psych.
Okay.
But my minor was the business of entertainment, media, and technology. So I said, okay, first day on campus, where are the movers and the shakers? What's going on? How am I supposed to learn now? Like really about this industry to get it done. And it was cool because I went to NYU, so I'm like right in the thick of it.
Nice. Are you from New York originally?
Oh yeah.
What part?
So it's convoluted. I say everywhere except for Staten Island. No shade to Staten Island. Okay, we love Wu-Tang, but you know that's not right.
Not for you.
So I was born in Manhattan. No, sorry, you were gonna say?
No, go ahead.
I was born in Manhattan, but then like was raised in the Bronx. But while I was living in the Bronx, I was going to like middle school in Harlem, and then in the middle of that, moved to Queens. Still going to school in Harlem, then went to high school in Brooklyn. Then went to NYU, you know, and then went to Brooklyn Law. I was everywhere.
Man, no, I feel that. So you literally touched every borough. So I'm from New York also, and it's convoluted for me too because I lived in Long Island, went to school in Brooklyn. People's in Queens. Bronx was always like a field trip for me. It always felt like when you go to Bronx, I'm going to a different country. Exactly. It's a visit to a family you haven't seen in a while. Like it's hilarious.
Went to the mainland U.S. Yeah,
exactly. So I feel you. The convoluted part. Dope. So
wait, where in Long Island? Sorry.
Uniondale.
Oh, okay.
It's like the high numbered exits, like exit 21, like deep Long Island.
Yeah. My boyfriend went to high school in Uniondale. Yeah.
What high school?
He went to Kellenberg. I don't know. It's some Catholic school. I'm not from Long Island. I don't know.
All the days.
Said you lost me.
Hampstead, right. Got you. And what high school you went to in Brooklyn? Nice. Okay, I know a couple people from Brooklyn Tech. Dope.
Huge school.
Yes, very huge. I feel like a lot of people went to Brooklyn Tech. So you felt like you didn't want to leave New York. You was like, I'm staying here for all of it.
There's that, and I was like, I want to be in the entertainment industry. So I applied to schools everywhere where they had like a heavy music scene. You know, but I mean, the New York schools are having, like the
Right.
better offers. So that's where I went. And then
Mm-hmm.
also I was like, people kind of give up everything and like try their hardest to move here.
Mm-hmm. I'm already here.
There's a reason.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so I know the biggest areas are New York and California when it comes to entertainment law.
Yeah.
Were you thinking about California at all?
Atlanta.
Atlanta.
That's what I'm thinking about. Atlanta currently. Yeah.
Oh, you thinking of going down there?
Yeah, because I think that there's also something to leaving your hometown. I think that a lot of people have stories where, they achieved greater heights, and not to say that, I feel like I'm getting fat now, but they achieve greater heights, they learn more about themselves, and they just grow as people in a different way when they leave their hometown. So I'm like, okay,
not for you.
Atlanta, we can do that.
Right, time for something different. So why not California?
I don't think that's my vibe. I don't think that's my scene. No offense to like the people who live there, but I think that Atlanta is more like it feels like more aligned with like who I am as a person and like what my goals are. But I haven't made any decisions yet, so like I'm still open going down the hole. That's my whole thing in life. I'll just go down the rabbit hole where the opportunity is.
Yeah, take your time. Those big transitions are huge. So now you'll figure it out. Yeah. So I do want to talk about Brooklyn Law School because Brooklyn Law School is close to my heart. I did a program in the 8th grade. The first time I got introduced to the law called Legal Outreach, where they place people from the inner cities, young kids in the inner cities who were interested in law, and basically expose them to like law firms and law classes and mock trials, stuff like that. So the program took place at Brooklyn Law School. Like I took mock law classes at Brooklyn Law School, and that was the first time I was like introduced to that space. So I know that whole area. I know Court Street. I know all the 5 train right across the street. I know the movie theater right down the block. That was my spot. So how was your experience at Brooklyn Law School?
I always tell people that like the experience that people like think they would have in undergrad is what I had in law school. I think I'm a bit of a late bloomer in that way.
You turned up.
Yeah, I mean, when I could, I worked very, very hard. So I was in the 2-year program. I think that they like ended that, but they had like this accelerated JD program. So I was going to school, like year round. So that was insanely hard. But I had a really awesome group of friends, like, littered all around the school. And so when it was time, have a good time and let off steam, we definitely did. And it's necessary in that kind of environment.
Absolutely.
Balance is key because it was very hard. Beyond the material, it's not that the material was hard, right? It's just like incredibly dense. And they're asking, I'm sure you know, right? Like they're asking a lot of you. But it's like that, and then it's condensed in like a 2-year like situation. And I'm taking classes year round, so it's like
through the summer,
really get those. Through the summer, through the winter. Yeah, not getting that break, like just going.
Wow.
So yeah, and also having like a couple of externships like here and there.
That's a lot to fit in. Why did you want to do the 2-year program?
So I was done with school. That's really all I gotta say. I didn't want to be in school for any much longer than I had to be. I was over it at that point because I had been doing like just crazy academic stuff like my whole life. My parents they pushed that. And going to Brooklyn Law wasn't like the first time that I was going to school year round or whatever. When I was in elementary and middle school, my parents had us like in this program called Summer on the Hill through Horace Mann. And yeah, like we were doing school in the summertime and like all that too. So I was like, yeah, this is cute and all, but I'm over it. If I'm going to be a lawyer, let me get this done. And then I'm out. Don't got to go to school ever again.
Man. So I saw that you got a full ride to law school. Is that correct? How does one get a full ride to law school? What work do you have to put in to get that?
A lot. If I were to say it in a nutshell, a lot. I did a lot of, like, my grades were really, really good, right? Like,
Yeah.
coming out of undergrad. And I guess, like, it helped too that I went to a name brand undergrad. But I don't think that that's, like, always so important when you have, like, the grades and the extracurriculars to back it up, and, you know, like,
Yeah.
your application package is very strong.
Mm-hmm.
But I always did a lot of extracurriculars.
Mm-hmm.
I was in a lot of sports. And in a lot of kind of out there kind of sports, I guess. So like I did lacrosse
Nice.
in high school, and so in undergrad, I was also just doing like different intramurals and stuff, like just always
Yeah.
involved. A lot of community service and a
Yeah.
lot of internships that aligned with what I was expressing in
Trying
the
to do.
application
Yeah.
package, that like these are my goals and this is how serious I am about the goals.
Yeah.
And low-key, I was like, you can let me into your school, but if you don't, someone else is gonna let me into their school and I'm gonna do this anyway. So
Right.
like, help me or don't, I'm
Right.
doing it.
Right. Choose wisely.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, kind of, you know, sometimes you have to be a little bit ballsy, especially when, you know, everybody's talented. You know,
Facts.
nowadays, like, kids are geniuses and they're doing
Mm-hmm.
all of the extracurriculars and
Mm-hmm.
they have the good grades and they have the right recommendation letters. You have to do things that are like competitive and to stand out.
Right. Stand out. Yeah. So speaking of your internships, you
Mm-hmm.
interned at VP Records. Was this
Mm-hmm.
before law school or during law school?
This was, yeah, before law school. I
Before law school.
was, I think either a freshman or a sophomore in undergrad. I don't
Nice.
really remember. That was a very long time ago. But
That's all good. Yeah.
yeah, I was doing that because I was like, okay, I need to start and like have this kind of experience because
Mm-hmm.
everybody that I was in classes with, that wanted to be involved in music or like go to law school, they were musicians, right? Like, or they
Mm-hmm.
had like that music background. They already had those types of connections and stuff. So I was like, oh, shoot, I'm already behind. How do I get in?
Gotta catch up. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
was that experience? Because I looked it up. VP Records. I thought it was dope. It was in Queens, and they
Mm-hmm.
represented reggae artists and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said,
Mm-hmm.
I'm in Queens all the time, and my parents are also from Jamaica too. So I thought it
Yeah.
was dope. But I saw that I was like, "Yo, this is fire!" Like, how was it working for a record label?
Um,
Yeah.
it was a lot of fun for me. I think it was like my first taste into seeing, you know, like how the sausage is made, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
especially with VP, like a lot of the departments were just like, there was even
Mm,
like a recording studio like in the
right there.
building.
Yeah, yeah,
So, you know, like the producers in there making stuff, the art department was there, legal was
yeah.
there, like everybody was in like this just same general space. There was like
Mm,
all this synergy going on. Um, I was an archiving intern, so very much well. But
mm.
you know, like it
What were you
was
archiving? Were
fine.
you just putting stuff in files? Like what was archiving?
Stuff in files, and at that point, they had like a project of making sure that like all of the physical music was being like uploaded digitally so that it could be uploaded to the platforms and
Mm,
stuff. So like I was doing a lot of that.
gotcha. You paid your dues
Um,
basically. You put in the grunt work.
yeah, because listen, you come in with no name, no experience, like
Yeah.
you get an opportunity, do it.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, like it always just do what you can to be in the room to be able to talk to people or like leverage that opportunity into your next opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have like a plan and a foresight, and you don't have to plan everything out like to the letter to the T. But if you have like these like general milestones that you want to hit, you'll be
Mm-hmm.
able to look around at the opportunities available to you and pivot as needed.
Yeah. Because you're not gonna know everything that's gonna happen once you walk in the door, but you gotta walk in the door.
Yeah,
And then choose from there. Like you go with that after
yeah,
that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. And even at that point, you know, like, yeah, I was the archiving intern, but, you know, I was paying attention to what was going on
Mm-hmm.
and I was seeing like how things worked and, you know, how people communicated and how, you know, how deals were being made and stuff like that,
Yeah.
as it was like to inform myself of like, okay, what are the social aspects that go into these contracts that you
Mm,
see, you know?
yeah.
Because yeah, the law is like, you know, this written word, whatever, whatever, but just like in any other business, but especially entertainment, a lot of this is like connections and like just social interactions. And
Mm-hmm.
so that was the experience that I didn't have. And so every single opportunity I had, like, I wanted to make sure I was maximizing that. It didn't matter what I was doing, as long as I was able to access that aspect of it.
Yeah,
I was in the right place.
got you. So you having that experience, it didn't turn you off from it. Like, it was a good enough experience. But yeah, I want to keep doing this. Nothing you saw was like, I don't want to do this anymore. Yeah.
No, if anything, I was like, yeah, no, this is definitely what I need to be doing. Yeah.
Man, that's dope. So you get to Brooklyn Law School. You're in for a ride. You're killing it out here.
Thank you.
You spoke on out watching a YouTube video. You spoke on having some bad externship experiences, and it taught you a lot about yourself. And I found that so interesting. You pointed that out because I feel like for me, and I feel like also for a lot of people, when you're taking internships and externships at law school, you're expecting for all of them to go well. You want everything to be perfect. You want them to be great. Like, you want to do your best. You want to shine. You want the lawyers to like you and all. But sometimes they just don't go well, and that's okay. So, what was your experience of having a negative externship experience, and you still being okay?
It was a little bit demoralizing, like, at the time, because I didn't realize, and, like, you know, I had no feedback that I wasn't being received well until I started noticing, like, hey, like, this person isn't saying anything. Like, the work that I'm getting, you know, like, they're not like doing anything, you know, I'm like emailing and like not hearing anything. I'm like, okay, interesting. I mean, also, you know, I went around like looking for other work because I said, you know, I'm here. I'm not just gonna sit here at this desk and like twiddle my thumbs, you know. But and then I learned, hey, in a law firm setting, that isn't always like the right thing to do. So I was like, oh, okay, my bad. But at the time, right, like I truly didn't know, and I think that it was just that. Like, I didn't know. I was a first generation law student.
Yeah.
I didn't really have like anybody around me that I could, you know, talk to about this. And then I think that there's something of like my age, like because I was younger than a lot of people then, and I'd never really had a real job. There's like a certain like kind of shame and like kind of I felt like it was a personal failure. And so like I didn't want to admit that because here I was like told that I was like a gifted student and like, you know, an overachiever, like all of these things. And here I am failing miserably
for the first time.
And I was like, I don't know what the hell
that is
to do
bad,
with
bad. It's like they're not answering emails and giving a cold shoulder. Like, man, I really messed up.
Really bad. And like I would go and ask like for feedback and it was like kind of cold in a stone wall, and I was like, dang, like what did I do?
Man.
You know, it was very it was a very humbling experience, and it was a very isolating experience, I think. And I think that even for like a year after that, like I was still like shaken from that. And I don't know. Once I finally got comfortable to a place where I was able to like open up with like my other peers who had also worked there, I realized that I wasn't the only one with that experience. And I was like, oh wait,
it's not me. It's not personal.
Me, but it wasn't like all me
all
because maybe they didn't handle it right. Because how many people are gonna have the same experience with the same people?
Right. Yeah.
You know, I take like responsibility for, you know, what I had done wrong there and like, you know, change that with the next internship that I had gotten. But after that experience, and that was after I graduated, like I'm talking to these folks and they're like, oh my God, you work there too? And it was like, what was your experience like? Because I sense like off of them, they kind of were going through that same thing.
The same thing, yeah.
As you said, they were like, oh God. Here we were thinking it was us. It was a group of us. I was like, oh, okay.
So it's not me. I don't gotta take it personal. That's real.
Yeah. But you know, from then on out, I was like, oh wait, like working a real job, like there's really like these politics that go on, and like, you know, managing different people's personalities and like I guess managing people's expectations, but then also being able to communicate in a way where you're asking the right question to be able to pull out that relevant information. Because I don't know what your experience is, but sometimes my experience with more experienced lawyers and more successful, or is they kind of have this thing about them where they're like, I'm too busy. I shouldn't have to explain this to you. Figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna mess this up, but sure.
Hey, y'all got the malpractice insurance.
Yes. No, I absolutely have had that experience. Even to the point where now when I meet certain attorneys, even before they say anything, I feel this urge to like have to do it on my own anyway. So I want to come to you with a finished product instead of asking questions, like knowing the line between asking too many questions and just trying to figure it out for yourself. I know exactly how that feels.
And so that's what I learned, and that's what
Yes.
I figured out. And so after that, that's what I was doing, and I found better success in my other roles, you know? And also too, like realizing that sometimes it could just be like personalities clashing, because at the end of the day, right, we are lawyers, we deal in facts, whatever, but we're humans and we are social beings. So sometimes there are going to be just like negative impressions of you just off the bat, or you know, so you're just not received well by people, and sometimes you just gotta know when to throw in the towel and just find like people that you can work with.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one thing that's law students coming out of law school. It's like almost like a culture shock if you haven't had any professional experience before that. Is where like you're not coming out of law school and just going straight to court. You're in your law book, and you're dealing with people. You're gonna have to go to certain meetings. A lot of speaking for me, like a lot when I first started, it was a lot of like just meetings and administrative stuff. It wasn't so much law. I wasn't in LexisNexis all day, every day when I first started. Like, no, it was very much like day-to-day procedural things that you have to learn. You're dealing, like you said, you're dealing with a lot of people. And I always say, like, you could be a great lawyer, but if you don't know how to deal with people, it doesn't matter. Like, you're going to have to know how to deal with personalities, whether you're new, whether you're old. Like, it's a part of the job, and it's very important for you to learn early. So
I was a psych major.
Yeah. Right. No, that's smart.
Because I did that going in. I was like, okay, I don't really have anything in common with like artists. And so let me understand like how people work and interact, like in group dynamics and stuff like that, to kind of make those things like more interesting. But look at that. It turned out that I was just needed just with the people that I was working with early on, you know? Yeah, but it ended up well, because my first job out of law school, I actually had with my mentor, like a mentor that I was able to reconnect with after law school. And we worked together really well. Like it was beautiful. It was a beautiful experience. I was like, okay, great. Yeah, I'm not a fear. I'm not gonna not be a lawyer. Yeah.
How were you able to build that mentor-mentee relationship with her? I don't want to give her a shout out either. You could give her.
Unfortunately, she passed away in 2021. Her name was Megan Charles. Yeah, she was a really, really awesome attorney.
Yeah.
She had her own practice. And you know, she used to be like a commentator on MSNBC and CNN, and like even on the Wendy Williams show. Shout out to her. You know, she's doing stuff too.
Shout out to her.
Yeah, she was just the first time I had ever seen like a Black attorney, like the first Black attorney I had ever met, and then also the first one who had their own firm, was like working for themselves, killing it, but like was also fabulous. And I was like, oh,
I want to be like you.
Want to be like you? How do I get like you? And I met her because in undergrad I had been in a program called WEEN, so the Women in Entertainment Empowerment Network, and one summer they had a boot camp, and so every week we would have like a guest professor, and she was one of the guest professors. She was the only lawyer that came in, and she was the only one that was like doing anything remotely near entertainment with like, you know, her television appearances. So I was like, I have to know her. I have to get her business card. So like I introduced myself, and I'm an introvert, so I was like very sure to like actually do. So I introduced myself. I let her know, you know, what my aspirations were, and I was like, if there's anything you ever need, like with any, even if it's just filing papers, please let me know. And she gave me her business card. She told me to email her because she was looking for an intern, and so followed up, bada bing, bada boom. I've been working with her like since then, and then after my terrible internship experience, I called her up. I was like, what did I do? And then, like we worked through that together. She highlighted like some places like where I could have improved, and then also highlighted, I didn't want to hear it at that time, like highlighting some places that like, maybe it wasn't me, and that like, it just dropped the ball. Like I believe in my abilities. I really didn't want to hear that. But I was like, okay.
I was about to ask why didn't you, but now you explained it.
Yeah. So I was like, if something is going wrong in my life, I'm looking at me first.
Right.
But yeah. So I had been like working with her like ever since that too. She was like, okay, come work for me. Let's, see. Let me show you that like things can be different, and I'll, walk you through it to like let you know how things are gonna go.
That's so cool. Like you just saw like a smidgen of a opening where she said she appeared on TV, and you felt like I can make a connection here. I feel like there's a lot of people in law school right now like thinking, if I want to do immigration law, it needs to have a big sign that says immigration. Like it needs to be clear as day that this is what I want to do. Like you can find different niches, you can find different holes where you can break into an industry if you want to. So the fact that you did that was very smart. Yeah,
absolutely. Like I said, for anybody that is watching, just take this away, right? Go down the rabbit hole. Like, what? So what if it's not exactly what you're looking for? It's not in like the same industry. You don't know who you will come across. You don't know what skills you're going to pick up. All of these things are what you're going to be able to use in, like along your journey, and like once you finally get to that destination that you're looking for, as long as you keep that destination at the forefront, because it is very easy to lose sight of that, especially if you find a situation where you're very comfortable and it's very quick. But as long as you keep your eye on the prize,
them health benefits looking real nice. I get how many days
every day. I think about that every day. I tell you what, because private insurance is expensive. Okay. But as long as you keep your eye on the prize, any step that you're taking, even if it is like a half step backwards, even if it's 2 whole step backwards, as long as you can justify why you are doing this and find out how it can help you, or trust that it can help you in something, just take the opportunity.
Man, that's real. What would you say is the biggest thing you learned from interning with Minu and Charles? Like, what was your biggest takeaway from that experience?
The biggest takeaway: always bet on yourself. Always believe in yourself. And because with law school, yes, they do. Like, they don't really teach you like the practice of law, but I'm a very firm believer that they give you the tools to like learn how to think, to be able to solve these problems. And so like you made it through that, right?
Yes.
Some self-confidence, and realize that with all the tools available to you, whatever problem you are facing, whatever challenge that like is coming before you, you have it in you to either see the problem immediately or figure out how you are going to solve this problem. Always bet on yourself.
That's good. That's good. So I want to go to, you finished law school, I want to go to the bar exam now. Give me a bar exam horror story. Something that went wrong, whether during studying or on the actual bar. Let me know.
Oh boy. Man, no, because it was hard.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And honestly, the biggest horror story of it all was that like I was sitting there in those rooms every single day doing it, like studying for it.
Where'd you take? Did you take it at the Jarvis Center, or did you take it somewhere else?
Yeah, I took it at the Jarvis Center. Okay, so at that point, like that's the very end. You see, like the finish line is right there. I will never have to sit down and take another one of these standardized tests. I don't got to see the inside of nobody's school ever again.
Right.
My thing was, I'm taking this godforsaken exam one time.
One time.
One time only. I said, God, if you want me to be a lawyer, that's what I'm going to be.
Okay. Nothing else after this, Lord, please.
I'm putting everything into it.
Yeah.
And so guide my hand, okay? Guide my mind, my thoughts. Because I'm not doing this again.
Oh, absolutely not. Shout out to all the retakers, because y'all stronger than me.
God bless every single one of you, because
I would have went back to singing. I would have took up the mic and be like, yo, I'm gonna try this one more time.
Period. Like, it's somebody's vocal lessons. Like, if I had to be a Starbucks barista, like, period.
Singing at restaurant, singing happy birthday.
Listen, learn my little two-step because I was
Exactly.
not doing that again.
Yeah. How did
It
you feel
was.
when? Go ahead.
I just wasn't doing it. I'm just belaboring the subject, but like I just wasn't
It's
doing it
fine.
again. It was terrible.
Yeah.
It was
And how did
terrible.
you feel when you got the results? What was the? Do you remember where you were, what you was doing when you got the results? What was that like?
Yeah. I remember I was in the house with my grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
And the night before, for some reason I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep. I
Mm-hmm.
had a very anxious energy about me. And they don't tell you when the results are coming.
Right.
But for some reason that night I could not sleep. And usually I'm a sound sleeper.
Yeah, knocked out.
Nothing's really
Mm-hmm.
I could not sleep. It was like my whole body was tingling. And then I'm waking up, I'm doing my morning routine, everything, just chatting with my grandma. Then all of a sudden I hear a ping. I'm like, okay, what's that? Because I'm taking my from school like before I start my job.
Yeah.
Because I needed it.
Mm-hmm.
I open up the email, I just start screaming. My grandma drops. She's like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?"
Oh,
I'm like, "Pass the ball, pass the ball." And so my
I did
grandma's
it.
screaming. She's like, so, and she's like Jamaican grandma. So, and
Mm-hmm.
she's just praying and thanking God and
Whoa,
everything. I'm like, yes, exactly that. Exactly that. And we
Lord
just praying.
Jesus.
Yes, she's like, oh my God. It was a beautiful moment,
Man,
I was like,
that's
thank God, I
amazing.
don't got to take it again. I guess God
Man,
wants me to be a lawyer.
man, I'm sure that's a great. We went to Jamaican grandmother when you find that out. I'm sure that's a great moment, man. Of course,
Oh,
right?
yeah. Listen. My picture is front and center in like the Hall of
Yeah.
Fame that she has in for
Mm-hmm.
all the grandchildren. She was proud of me
Mm-hmm.
that day.
No, that's dope. That's so amazing. That's so amazing. So I'm glad. So you get into now. You finish law school. You're practicing attorney. What more did you learn about entertainment law as you started going deeper into the field? Because when you say entertainment law, I feel like that's a very broad term for it. Like,
Yeah.
as you went deeper into it, what are the different sections did you learn about?
So actually, it wasn't even after law school that I was really getting involved in that. I think even from undergrad, every single internship opportunity that I've had, like I let it be known that I wanted to be a lawyer and like I wanted to be a lawyer in the space. So, thankfully, these places were like receptive to that and facilitated like opportunities where I could speak to like the in-house lawyer, or I could like speak
Nice.
to the counsel that they were like bringing in from different places, just to like ask them questions like about their experience and about what it is that they do day to day, and let me help them with like a little research project here and there.
Yeah.
So that was good. And then in law school, every single one of my externships, except for one of them, was in some facet of the entertainment industry. So I was heavy like in the music space. But then, interestingly enough, the internship didn't end bad. They exposed me to like a completely different part of the entertainment industry, which was like film and TV production. And before, like I wasn't even considering it. I was like, I don't know anybody except for one person who's in like film and TV, and even then, they're just going through the ranks of the beginnings themselves, and they were a producer, like a TV producer. But I got really interested in that. I was like, oh wait, like this is really cool. And I was kind of seeing like the different ways at the time. A lot more like Black stories were being told, and like a lot more of us were like getting opportunities to tell like just we didn't have to be like the comedic relief or the sidekick best friend, or like the guy that we're dating to like piss off somebody's dad, like we were having like more meatier like fleshier roles, and more people behind the scenes too that were working those roles. So I was like, oh, this is a really great like space to be in, and like work with other creatives who are telling these stories and helping them have that opportunity, because people are busting down the door now, like there are more opportunities for us like being available.
And before that, it was just strictly music you were in.
Before that it was strictly music. And still love it to this day. I still love the music clients that I work with. But that like they exposed me to that, and that was amazing. And then I actually had a friend back in the day. She had her own podcast, and like she was going through like interesting stuff, and I was learning about like the legal aspects of that, and then seeing online entertainment, like, okay, what are the people who are creating things online going through, and what are their deals and stuff looking like, and then that moved into like influencing, and like, you know, there are people in the family who are like influencers and stuff, and so I'm looking at their agreements and stuff, friends with people who are influencers and seeing their agreements and how deals are going down, and I'm like, oh, there's a world outside of music that is interesting. You know? And then after law school, when I was working at Midwin Charles and Associates, some of the matters that she had taken on, there were sprinklings of entertainment here and there, but then also just with her, a lot of her agreements and stuff when she was being featured like on radio shows and TV shows, of course, you know, like those are talent agreements and stuff like that. So I was very much like exposed. Even that was a great experience because she was walking me through this. She was like, and this is why I'm going to argue this, and this is why I'm going to argue that, and this is why we're striking this out, and this is why I'm asking for this. And so I was grateful, and also, you know, took the opportunities to be like, hey, I'm interested in this. What else is available? You know? So I got to be exposed to like a lot of different facets.
That's awesome. That's so good. So break it down. So somebody is a TV producer on a show about raising 3 daughters in Canada. And they come to you, and they're about to start their job at the end of the year, or at the beginning of 2024. And they have, what are they coming to you about? What are they coming to you in your office?
They're usually coming to me because they have a pilot or they're about to produce a pilot, right?
Okay.
And so maybe they need like the agreements for the talent. They need the agreements for the writers. They need the location releases. Like they need, you know, producer agreements. They need like all of those things done. And so, you know, there are some people where I come in, well, actually all of them, like I come in at that stage for when they are actually putting the thing together from the very beginning. Working with them on that, making sure that the agreements and stuff are good, and, you know, negotiating with folks and just helping them in that aspect. And then, you know, they're putting together the pilot. And so, you know, I'm pretty hands-on on that.
Right.
Because
you don't add little notes. Well, I think she should come in.
Yeah, what I'm supposed to do, hold a boom mic? Like, I'm not doing that, you know? It's not me.
Add a little writer's notes.
Yeah, like,
I don't think she's good for the part.
Maybe this line can like
Right.
Imagine. No. Absolutely not. But there's that. And then hopefully, right, like this is like a pilot that is being pitched. So now I'm not like really like an agent that helps people, you know, like pitch and, you know, represent them in those kinds of things. But I'll let you know, like from a legal perspective, how are you protecting your intellectual property, right? So like you're in these rooms, of course, right? Like you can't really copyright an idea for a show or something like that. But you have your script, right? Maybe you want to register it with the Writers Guild, and you don't have to be, you know, a member to be able to do that. So, you know, shout out to them. They're on strike, trying to get their due. Yeah.
Right. How you feel about that? What are your thoughts on it?
You know, I'm with the workers, I'm with the talent, and that's why I got into this. So, you know, that's why I'm with it.
It's gang all day.
You know, like those are my clients.
Right. Can you explain why it has gotten this bad? Why they feel like they need to be on strike?
I mean, you know, the cost of living has increased. Things are crazy, and they're not getting paid.
Yeah,
an amount that they feel is fair. You know, that's why the education about like labor unions and like the labor resistance movement, like throughout the United States, like is important. I don't think that our education system really does a good job of teaching people about that. At least like the public education system.
Yeah.
They are really, 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 really amazing lawyers and like advocates that work in these guilds and like these unions for these talent creatives. It's the reason why they have health insurance, you know, like it's the reason why they have like all these different types of safety nets. They would not have otherwise, because they would otherwise work at the behest of these big, like these major studios and stuff like that. And you already know, right? Like
you're not gonna take care
all
of
of these other professions that don't have unions. You get dropped like a hot potato, and where's your safety net?
Facts. Yeah.
You know,
And they
like,
can
are
care
you still
less.
going to
They're
be
going
a
about their lives.
yeah, they don't care.
Yeah.
And you know, it's important to be able to come together and like be one band, one sound. When you feel like you're not getting what you deserve for the hard work that you're putting in. And so
I like that Jump Line reference, by the way.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jump Line. Shout out to Nick
And
Cannon.
shout out to, you know, my music teacher too. I think that's where she got it from.
I love it. I love it.
We used to be out of tune. But
man,
yeah, they're just not getting paid like at a rate that they deserve, like at all levels. And so raise it up.
No, that's real.
Milk is expensive. Orange juice is expensive. Pay them.
These exes go crazy out here. Gas, ridiculous. Yeah. Yeah.
Otherwise, it's going to be reality TV and people ripping like Ariana DeBose had to do at, what was it, the Tony Awards or something that just happened. There were no writers. They were on strike. She had to do
so
it.
So this freestyling?
Yep.
I don't think people don't realize how important writers are. We just see these great shows.
And that's it. I think that's really a part of it. And one of the underlying driving forces of like what it is that I do, I think so many people devalue the arts and just they devalue the work that creatives do because they just think, oh, you're just throwing these things together. You're just sitting around dreaming up ideas all day. No, like it takes real talent and real skill and determination to be able to take this grandiose idea that you have in your head, create this world, put it on paper, make it flow well, and then bring it to life on screen.
Yeah.
You know? Like that's not a small feat. You could not do that if you sat down and did that. Like that takes a talented and dedicated person to do. Pay them for the work that they're doing.
Absolutely. Yeah. They're putting the time in. They're putting the time in their craft the same way we're all doing it in our own different spaces.
Yeah. Every day you go to work, you grind yourself down, okay? And then what do? You go home and you turn on your TV to watch something to decompress. The same way that you were grinding all day at work, someone was grinding all day at work to bring that to your TV screen.
Facts.
Pay that.
It's not easy. Everybody can't do that. You can't sit down and write a pilot. You're not that good.
Can't. I sure can't.
Facts. I can't. Right. It's a skill.
Okay.
Man, it's real. So do you have you had clients who have come to you and you look at their contracts and you're like, this is terrible. They're trying to play you.
Absolutely. I've had that and told them, okay, yeah, no, so we're not doing that. One of the things that I, you know, try to instill in them, and of course, you know, everybody is free to make their own business decisions, but again, like I really believe in betting on yourself, believing in yourself. You don't have to take the first opportunity that is thrown at you, especially if it's like a terrible one, just to get like your foot in the door or just to get like these like a couple $1,000s when if you just like wait it out a little or fight back and ask for more, like you can get more.
Yeah.
You know, I think that especially because, you know, I deal with clients who are people of color, just across the board, we know that like underlying every type of like transaction, like labor transaction that we have to go through, people are trying to get our work at a discount, a severe discount, you know? So I try to impress upon them, like, no, ask for more. I've seen contracts where people are asking for more, ask for this much. If you don't want to, totally fine. But I'm just saying that more is out there. Have the confidence, you know, to be able to feel comfortable doing that, or let me do that for you. And also being able to walk away when the opportunity isn't right. Being able to walk away when you have that gut check and they're telling me, I don't know, like this doesn't feel right, but you know, I don't know when the next opportunity is going to come. Just walk away. Just walk away because you might be signing. You might be signing your life away. You might be signing your soul away. There was one time where there was an agreement that was sent to me by somebody who was trying to work with the client, and it was terrible. And I was like, one thing you need to understand is that if it's drafted like this, imagine what it's going to be like working with them. They didn't even put the time in to make sure that the agreement looked good. For all this amount of money. You understand?
What so is that tell working? From that just yeah.
What is the working relationship gonna look like?
Man.
What else are they missing? What else are they like cutting corners on?
Man. So you do like part-time life coaching and motivational speaking too for these clients, because it's like you gotta build them up. You gotta like instill some confidence in them, not just
A
with the love. Like,
little
yeah,
bit, right? Like, but that's kind of who I am,
yeah,
just in general. As anyone,
yeah,
my friends, family members, I'm constantly speaking life into people because
yeah.
don't be around me and don't have no self confidence. Can't stand to see it.
I can't deal with that.
No,
You gonna rub off
no,
on me? I can't have that around
and
me.
it won't. It definitely won't. It definitely won't. But
Facts.
please, like,
Yeah.
you're alive. Like, you've made it this far in your life. It hasn't taken you out yet. Like, you're capable.
That's good.
Stop believing all of these things and all of these cues that you think you're getting from the world that are telling you that you're not capable. You can do it.
Yeah. Man, about to me run through a wall. I can do it.
You can. Okay, you can. I'm serious.
No, that's facts.
And especially because, like, the clients that I have, like, they're new. They're new to the space. They're new to the industry. A lot of the times they're coming to me, what they're doing is like their first one. Like it's their first stab at it, their first opportunity, or their first couple ones. They're just getting used to like this being like a full-time thing for them, or they're just getting used to people, acknowledging now their talents on like a bigger scale. And I'm like, yeah, they are, because you were that when you walked through my door. They're just now getting hit.
Yeah.
You were always that. So now let's act accordingly.
Let that price match.
Yeah, there's no need to be
any
type of. There's no need to be no type of diva, because nobody likes to work with a diva.
Still gotta be humble.
Yeah, and you catch more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. But no one is telling you to be self-deprecating.
Yeah,
and there's more than one way to be self-deprecating. It doesn't have to just always be the jokes. Like if you're letting somebody lowball you, that's self-deprecating. Don't do that.
That's good. So speaking of betting on yourself, you bet on yourself and you started your own firm.
Yes,
how was that process? So wait, sorry, before that, how long after law school did you start your own firm? Like you had a job, had the first family law job, then what?
So I graduated at a very interesting time. I graduated in 2019.
Yes, during COVID, yeah.
Yeah. Well, this was the year before it started. The year before like the lockdowns and everything started. So, like I had my job just waiting for me. I took my Embark shift, took time to decompress into myself and, try to get back into my stuff, right? Because boy, oh boy, that take a lot out of me.
No, I think people don't recognize. I kept telling people this, like after the bar, like you're like discombobulated. Like it was like I felt like shell shocked after leaving those next 2 weeks. Felt very weird. I didn't know what life was. I was just wanted to stay in my room. I didn't want to do anything. It was very weird. It was a very weird time.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know how to be like a regular person who is out and about in the middle of the day.
You just shifted your whole life for 2 months. You were just in a zone for 2 months. It was
exactly.
Yeah.
And I had a different set of friends that I came out with. So I was like navigating that. I was like, oh dang! Shout out to the ones that stayed, that held it down, that stayed true.
Those are the true ones who stuck with you through law school.
Love y'all very much. I won't be saying no to any more outings. I might still, but it was such an interesting time. And then also to shift from my identity as a student into like a person who like didn't have deadlines. Well, it's different when it's like you have to complete your assignment or whatever, as opposed to like going to work and like now you're being paid. Like now you're getting the return on the investment. It was very different. It was just weird all around. But it was just weird. And like younger than, I wouldn't say everybody, but like a lot of people, like they were going in and, they had families, they had already had jobs. For some people, this was their second career, or, they had worked for some time, had been on their own and stuff. Like, I was coming from my parents' house,
fresh
like,
out. Yeah.
I was fresh, newborn baby lawyer for real. Okay. But so I, took that time and then I started working, for a couple of months and it was great. I was working with Midland. It was great. It was awesome. And then the lockdowns hit.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, oh, what is this going to be like? This is interesting. And then like things kind of like started slowing down like in the world and just for everywhere and for everyone. And I was like, interesting. I always knew that I wanted to work for myself. I always knew that like I wanted to have that type of autonomy and just build something from scratch.
Yeah.
But I never knew, like, I just always thought, okay, whenever the time is right, whenever I have like all this experience in the world, I'm going to go out and I'm going to do it. But I had actually another mentor in law school who had also gone to the law school. She was my alumni mentor. He had worked for a little bit after law school for, like about a year, a couple months or so. And at that time, like, she had her own law firm. When I knew her, she had her own law firm and she was just starting it, getting it up off the ground. And she was like, you can do it. And from day one, she always told me, she was like, you can do it. You think you got to wait all this time to do it, but you could do it.
Man.
You could do it straight out of law school if you wanted to. Like, you really could do this. And, she planted that seed.
Yeah.
Shout out to her, Christina Simpson.
Shout out to you.
Christina Simpson up in Massachusetts. And, I was mulling that over, and then I was working with Midway, and I was seeing, like, he was doing it. I was like, when it starts, I might not be doing it as well as her, but I know that I can build up to it.
Right.
Have the support of these mentors. So I was like, okay, interesting. And then for real, New York City lockdown, and like I was just like sitting in my room one day, and I was like, what if this is like an opportunity to go after my dream of having my own firm?
Man.
Let it pass me by. I'm always gonna think, what if?
Yeah.
And I can't. My anxiety that would eat me up.
Yeah.
I said, okay, let me just do it. And
you had two blueprints. You had two blueprints right there in your mentors. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I let my boss know, I let Midway know. I was like, hey, so I'm thinking about doing this. And she looked at me and she said, absolutely. You should do it. She was like, whatever you need, like, I will help you do this. She was like, you know, all these books that like I used when I was starting my firm, like, you can totally do this. And I was like, oh, amazing. What?
Yeah.
And she was like, wait until you get your license, of course, because at that point, like I had submitted, like my application to be licensed or whatever, but like
the whole process.
Yeah. She was, wait until you're licensed, and like, for now you're still working with me, of course. But yeah, like you always have a job here, even if it's like part time, even if it's like doing little things here and there, so you can make some money to fund this endeavor, like tax or savings. And she was very supportive, and I didn't know what to expect. I was still gonna do it. Whether she was going to be mad at me or not, I was still going to do it. But
you were hoping that she was nice about it.
Yeah, I was really hoping that she would support it, and she did. Right. And so, like, between her and, like, my mentor up in Massachusetts, like, I was asking them questions. And to today, I still have my mentor in Massachusetts. We have so, like, I picked up and did it. And then I told my parents I was going to do it. And they were like, do it. Especially my dad, because he was like, please, like, do whatever you want to do in life, like chase your dreams.
Man, that's dope.
He didn't get the opportunity to do that, so he was like, my kid's got to be able to do it,
Yep.
So, and they supported me. Even now, like, if I had to ask anything, they support me up to this day. Like, it's really interesting, I think, what you'll find in your community, and like who will support you and who believes in you and who is kind of hoping that you would realize that this is what you should have been doing
the whole time.
The whole time, like once you just open up and say it. So that's how I got here.
And I feel like it's always the perfect time too, because you didn't have to pay for no office space, you have to pay for no thing, like you started your room, like you good.
And did okay. That's exactly what I did. And to this day, it was really a great time too, because that shift into like remote work, I think people are much more comfortable working virtually, receiving virtual services and stuff like that. And honestly, I think a lot of people in this generation kind of prefer it.
Yes,
you tell them they don't gotta get up, put on real pants and meet with somebody. They're like, sign me up.
Yeah. And be in the office for no reason. You know them days like, why am I here? I have no reason to be here.
Exactly.
I should be home right now. I could do this from home.
Exactly. So that's what I did.
Man. And look at you now. How many years later? How long have you been
About
in your own
3.
practice?
It's gonna be 3 on Jamaican Independence Day.
Oh wow, that's gonna be
Yeah,
lit.
yes.
You about to turn
You know,
up?
it's a party every year.
Nice. So when you first started, what was that like? How did you get your first client? Like, what was that space like to just like dive into it and then getting your first client and setting up?
So, like I said, it's very interesting to see like the ways that your community will support you or tap you to, work with you, support you in any way that they can once you like start giving voice to like what your passions and your dreams are.
Yeah.
A family friend was my first client.
Wow.
She has her own production company. She writes television shows. She writes movies. She's a very, very creative, very, very talented person. And
Nice.
always had been. And she knew
Yeah.
me. And she knew my parents before I was born. You know what I'm saying? Like
Oh, nice.
she's been like in
In
our
that space,
lives
yeah.
forever. And she was like, "Oh my God, you ever been to a lawyer? Oh my God, you're doing this on your own. Oh my God, please be my lawyer." And so I am still her lawyer today.
Wow.
We were able to sell a pilot to NBC, and like it was really awesome. That's like I've been bringing this kind of from today, but the first of many.
Yeah.
Like the biggest one yet. And yeah.
What's the name of the show? Can we see the name of the show yet? No,
Well, the show, like, it wasn't picked up, unfortunately.
Got you.
But interestingly enough, there's another show that's going to be coming out that has a similar premise. So,
interestingly enough, I better stop playing with the Carter firm.
No.
Stop
No.
playing.
It's technically a different show.
Got
but
you.
that's something too, right? That you learn.
Right. Yeah.
These companies, they sometimes it might be that they're buying up certain pilots and stuff. Like, you never know what the reason is, but I've seen a host of reasons where it's like, maybe they just don't want that competition out there. Maybe they want, they're holding this asset so that it can build on like another asset, and it's all fine, right? Like, at the end of the day, entertainment is a business. Right? We are buying and selling services, goods, products, like these people's ideas, like so you have to be comfortable with that as an artist. And I know that is difficult, but there are so many reasons like why pilots are picked up, but why pilots aren't picked up. And it's fine, because if you're creative, you'll come up with another idea.
Yeah, that's real. Did you find that there's more people or there are more potential clients out there than you realize? Because off the top of my head, I can't think of like 6 people who would need entertainment lawyer. But once you're in the space, were you like surprised, like, oh my God, there's a lot more people or a lot more creatives or artists who need this, where before you probably would have thought there were so many people who needed these services?
Absolutely. And I kind of knew that a little bit going into it, because like I said, like, I come from like a musical and like artsy family. We have a lot of musicians. We have a lot of, visual artists. We have a lot of dancers. We have a lot of writers. Like, just name it, we got it. So I knew that these people existed. And I knew that, not everybody, like, unfortunately, right? Like, not everybody's going to be a superstar. But that doesn't mean that you're not still going to be a working artist. But you still need representation as well.
Yeah.
And so I'm here for that everyday working artist. Maybe I'm gonna be a superstar, and that's gonna be great.
Right.
So that's gonna be great.
Yeah.
But I mean, the reality is that like not everybody's going to be that, but that doesn't mean that you still don't have that opportunity to follow your dreams and be a fully, like, gainfully employed working artist. And so it's very interesting. Like, there are people who write music and it's like production music for like TV shows, or like the background music for different things. There are visual artists who are like drawing murals and painting murals for like different buildings and like different exhibits and stuff like that. Like, everywhere you go where you find something beautiful, or you hear something beautiful, or you're reading something beautiful, and an artist is there, and a transaction happened.
For that to happen,
for that to, like, for you to be experiencing that in your life. And there's a lawyer like me making sure that the transaction goes smoothly for that.
Yeah. Got you. Do you ever have to be in court? Is there any litigation involved in your work?
If I like to say, if I do my job right, I don't have to see court. I'm not a litigator, like, technically. Like, I have litigated before, and that's what I was doing at Midwin Charles and Associates.
Right.
And I actually inherited a case from her firm when she passed. That I was in court for years for that case. Yeah, we got that settled though, so it's lit.
Hey, Carter
The
firm
streak
win.
is still,
Okay.
No losses on the record, and we gonna keep it that way.
Okay, Floyd. Okay, Mayweather. Okay, I see you.
Okay. You don't want it. You don't want the smoke. But no, like that case, that's really what kind of cemented the fact that I didn't really want to be in litigation. I would do it because also the money is great. Okay, those retainers are beautiful. But not in family law, not in matrimonial, not in criminal. It was hard for me to not empathize like with these people. To not empathize like with my client and like kind of just brush that off at the end of the day. Other people can do that. I'm not that type of person. Like I am a bleeding heart. So I don't want to do that. But it's like a copyright situation, trademark situation.
Just jump in there.
And tag one of my friends in and say, "Hey, come on now, we got this case. Let's do it."
That's good. Yeah, I agree with you with family law. I did an internship in New York, actually in Queens, for a family law attorney, and I knew I didn't want to do it when I shadowed her to court one day, and the wife had like 5 lawyers surrounding her. The husband had like 5 lawyers surrounding him, and they were in court to decide where the child should be for the summer. And I was like, this is absolutely terrible. Like, I'm not doing this. This is insane.
And imagine the impact on the child,
Yeah, that's all I thought about the whole time. Like, these people are married, didn't even want to look at each other. They have a child together. They couldn't even like be in the same area together.
Yeah.
And it was all to decide where their child is going for summer camp. Like, imagine the big decisions. Like,
it
must be insane when they have to go to the doctor or something. Like, this is ridiculous.
Right. And and also like what I was experiencing and what I was seeing was that some of the ugliest parts of humanity are exposed.
Yep.
In litigation, and I don't like having that outlook, like for people in humanity. Like I feel like it's depressing. It's like, well, then I get like real nihilistic, and it's like, dang, why am I having an existential crisis? I want to be, dipped on good tulips, living on the sunshine.
I have good dreams.
I want to love everybody. Give me a reason to not.
Facts. No, it's tough. You have to be in that mindset when you're in that space. Like you have to pick a side. You gotta go hard, and it's tough.
Yeah,
it's tough.
Yeah. And then oftentimes, like, I found that the lawyers who actually were good at dissociating, right, and like chopping off like that emotional aspect to it, in their personal lives, like they kept that. And so like now how are you supposed to relate to like the regular people in your life who aren't lawyers, and like like you've created like these habits, like sometimes it's hard to turn off. And I also didn't want to do that because I come from a very close, tight knit, like loving family. Like I didn't want to be that way, and also like I didn't want to be that way in my relationship. Like I'll be saying real quick. I'll be bad.
Like, why are you mad at me today? I didn't do nothing today.
Exactly. No, I can't do that. That's not his fault.
Yeah. So how do you manage your career, with your life right now, like to make sure things don't bleed over into each other? How do you create that separation?
I'm really lucky. Again, I'll always say, like, I would never undermine this. I have a really great, amazing support system who wants to see me happy, who wants to see me living in my purpose, and who just wants to see me like achieve all my goals. Like, because I want the same for them, and I do everything that I can to do that for them. They're really supportive when there are just days when like I can't go to a party, or like I can't go to a function, I can't go to a birthday, or like I can't see you right. Being open and having that like that line of communication open helps. But also it helps that I work for myself and the boss, because I make my own schedule, right? Like I work when I am most productive. and I schedule all of my work. Sometimes, if I've been saying no too many times to somebody, like I will schedule my work that week, like around them, so that I can make sure I get everything done and meet all of my deadlines, but also make sure that my personal relationships aren't suffering. Because yes, this is something that I want to do. This is purpose driven. I'm trying to make a living, right? Trying to buy a house in New York City on top of that, We're gonna see.
All the blessings to you. You got it. You got it.
All things are possible. So we gonna make it. But
you got it. You got it.
But I just, they're very supportive. They're just very supportive, and like I can't undermine that. And they even check me when I'm like, hey, I'm, seeming overwhelmed and like I'm getting burnt out. And, sometimes your purpose, like it isn't done. You having to do the work to bring it to life. They're like, hey, maybe you need a vacation. Maybe you need a break. Go take a walk. Go to the beach. Like do something to, find your joy for life again so you can come back and pour more into your clients. Like they understand that this is my life's blood. They support me through it.
That's dope. And so how do you spoke about the internship that you didn't have a great experience and it felt like personal failure, whatever. How do you deal with failure now? Like how do you deal with things that may not have go well in the business now?
I mean, I put my big girl pants on and own up to it, like that radical accountability. I will also say that I probably stress myself out a bit too much to just make sure that I have planned everything possible, to make sure that I have researched this in like dozens and dozens of times over, asking people for help, asking people for questions if I can see the possibility of something going wrong. I really try to employ all of like my possible safeguards to make sure that, something doesn't happen. I do everything in my power, but in doing that, does go wrong or if I do make a mistake, it's like, number one, God bless malpractice insurance. It's never gonna be that serious, but you gotta have that. If you're gonna have your own firm, you gotta have that. But also just owning up to it and owning up to it as soon as possible, right? Like don't hide that. Don't sit on that because you're only gonna make the problem worse. This is something, thank God I learned that early on in life. And especially when you're taking people's money. There's no time to play no games with people. You just let them know.
Hiding for people. You better pick up them phone calls. You can't be talking about taking 2 weeks to respond to emails.
Exactly. No. And also, leveling people, like managing expectations and like mitigating expectations just early on. I think, yes, I'm a lawyer. Yes, I have had these types of results in the past, but that's not to say that with these particular set of facts that you're working with and whoever is going to be on the other side of this who has to approve something or write off on something, that it's going to be like the same time, like this go round. There is a possibility that this may not go the way that you want it to. I'm going to do everything in my power to ensure that, we get close to where you want to be and, do everything I can to get this done. But I'm not, the final decision maker, like decider, there's no, we're lawyers, there's no guarantee.
Is that hard? Is that hard though? Like you're walking somebody through this process of hoping the pilot gets picked up or hoping they sign on to be affiliate with your podcast, stuff like that, and it doesn't happen. Do they sometimes blame you? Do they sometimes be like, yo, what happened? I thought we was going. I was dealing with that.
No one has blamed me, but I'll be like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know that I was the one signing off on it. No, of course, like I won't say that, but it's like,
don't look like that for
like
you.
What my role is, what I'm doing for you, and the engagement letter, it is clearly outlined.
Good.
From a business perspective, no, that's not hard because I have clearly outlined and defined like what my services are and what I'm providing to you. But like on that personal tip, because at the end of the day, right, like you're working with these people for months, years on end. You're invested in their stories, you're invested in their lives, like you're invested in their dreams. I only take on projects where it's like I actually like what this person is doing, like
nice. That's dope.
I like, like I hear them speak about it and they have all this passion. Like I don't want to take on a client who is like very much dispassionate about this thing they created. They're only trying to get it for a quick buck. You're putting an artist, like for real, like
Yeah.
you're willing to put your life on
You gotta be talented. Like you can't cut through. Well, I'm a singer, and you know something.
Everybody's talented in their own way. There's an audience for
now.
everything. There's an audience for everything.
Would you tell little Isaro that when you was recording? Yeah.
I could tell me that. I'm not the arbiter, like the final arbiter of like whoever,
Got you. I feel you.
You know, there's an audience for everything.
Mm-hmm.
There's an audience for everything. But I mean, thankfully, like with my clients, I am a fan of their work. So
good. Yeah.
It's easy for that. And it is hard when those things don't come about because it's like, we're doing everything we can. We're on these phone calls, like I'm explaining these things to them. I'm having these pep talks. I'm telling them like all these things. And then, I think sometimes it's hard to not have certain expectations. When you see something so talented, where it's like the talent is undeniable, Like, how could you possibly say no to this person? And then like it does happen. It's like, crazy.
Life, yeah.
But that's like, that's a reality kind of situation where it's like, at the end of the day, this is a business. So like when these people are looking at their bottom line and they're like trying to justify taking on, this project and seeing how much money, like what are we projecting? How much are we going to be able to make off of this? Or where does this fit into the plan? If it doesn't fit, it doesn't fit.
Right.
Like at the end of the day, it's business. And that's why I said like on the business tip, it's not that hard because it's like, I make true business decisions every single day.
Yeah.
If it don't fit, it don't fit.
Right. So I still rock with you. I think it's cool, but sorry, they don't like that.
Yeah, but that's the thing too, right? Like a no doesn't mean that you're not talented. It doesn't mean that you won't have an opportunity. And it might not even mean no forever. It just means like right now, this is not the decision, like this is not the business decision that they're going with.
Yeah. It's time to try again.
Yeah. You better pick up and try again every single time because you're only going to be that failure. You're only going to lose and you're only not going to achieve your dreams when you give up.
Yeah, when you don't try. Man, that's real. So where do you see the Carter firm in 5 years? What are you working towards? What is the big goal?
The big goal, I want to move outside of, the principal attorney role into like the managing attorney role because while I love my clients and I love doing the work, I also want to be able to hire, other attorneys, like paralegals, legal assistants, interns, and stuff like that to teach, and to give other people like an opportunity to shine. And then also in hiring more people, I can help more people, and have like a more like a bigger impact like on my community and like on like the wider world of creatives and entertainers. And then also like I want the firm to grow and like be able to hire all these people because I want other kids, like other little kids, other lawyers, like other adults, teenagers, whoever, like look at me and see that like you can bet on yourself. You can do like the hard thing. You can take the road less traveled. Be a success. Living like your dreams, like live your truth. Like you can do this.
Yeah, I
so
agree.
Like I want it to grow.
Yeah, and I think that's our job. Like even when you spoke about Midwin, like the fact that she was able to make the decision to pour into you. I don't think that's a normal thing, especially in the legal profession. Like mentors who are willing to not just wait for you to ask them questions or wait for you to hit them. They're actively in your life wanting to see you grow. I definitely think you're blessed to have those mentors in your life, and the fact that you're able to recognize that. Oh, that's our job now. Like we're in this space where we've completed a thing, we've done a thing. Where somebody behind us is that curious law student, young attorney who doesn't know how to navigate the space, but now we have some answers for them. So it's now our job to pour back into them. So
exactly,
that's amazing. It's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah,
and I think that Midwood knew that too because she did a lot. Like she did a lot. She gave me a lot of herself and like her time. And the only thing she ever asked for me in return was to pay it forward. So of course, that's what I do.
Man, that's dope. Shout out to Midwood, man. Rest in peace.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Rest in peace. Like life changing.
Man. So I think it's a perfect way to end the podcast. And you already know we here for the closing argument of the Conversate podcast.
I'm not a litigator, so I don't really be arguing with people all day. Oh,
it's
God.
okay. You should have watched the movies, the closing arguments in the movies. Get you prepared.
Oh, God.
You'll be just fine. You'll be just fine. You was dropping gems the whole episode. You just fine. So it's the closing argument. Leave the audience, the law students and the young attorneys, leave the audience with something to encourage them, some words of wisdom with the closing argument. And the word of the day is nascent. Nascent. The word of the day is nascent. Do your best to incorporate into your closing argument.
Please, I don't mean to sound ignorant, but dang, like
nah, we about to be creative today. We about to use it. Like the people you represent, you about to get creative up in here.
Wait, hold on. No, we might really get dictionary.
Nascent. You do not get any definitions.
Wow. Okay. Dang. Is that nascent having to do with like giving birth to something, like growing something? I don't know. Like,
listen, I would say you're close. You're close. I would say go with that. That's all I would say. Yes, go with that.
Okay.
You just start with ladies and gentlemen of the jury.
This is gonna be bad. I'm gonna be embarrassed. Oh my God.
No, this is gonna be good. You gonna watch this back, but man, this is really good. That's some good freestyle.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Mm-hmm. Oh wait, sorry. So this is for the young law students, everybody. The words of wisdom with the word nascent. Okay, ladies and gentlemen of the jury.
It's gonna be so good. It's gonna be so good.
Oh God, this is bad. I'm sweating. Okay, ladies and gentlemen of the jury.
Here the New York, the jury. The New York come out.
I'm from the Bronx. I don't know what to tell you.
That's so good.
Oh God. Oh, I'm stress sweating. Okay, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I think it's nascent to understand that when you are faced with obstacles, when you come into a world that isn't designed and set up for you to succeed, okay? When everything around you is saying that you can't do this, you're not supposed to be here. People like you are supposed to do something different in life. We're not expecting this greatness out of you. Don't feel offended. They don't know any better, but you know. From the day that you were born, something was put inside of you to contribute to this world. You find that thing.
Preach.
And you take it all the way, okay? You make the people who grew you up proud, okay? Do not let those people be right. Do not let those words that they have told you be true, that you're not supposed to be here, that you're supposed to be doing something else, that you should be living under a preconceived notion of what greatness looks like for people like you. You are great. You're here. You woke up today.
Preach.
That's my time.
Oh, God. Thank you for dropping the club.
No, immediately.
Look it up. I feel like you used it right. I tell you. Well, what definition do you have?
Just, especially of a process or organization just coming into existence and beginning to display signs of future potential, budding, developing, growing, embryonic. I was close.
Yeah, I told you. I said to go with that, giving birth, something new coming to existence. And you said it's nascent.
Thinking like Latin roots, like when you think of the words like naci and nan, something that's like birth and like birthday born, like that's what I was
better than me. I don't know Latin. I didn't know what that was.
Oh, I don't know. It sounded like a little bit of Spanish.
Listen, I believe you. I don't know. That's what
it was working. That's ladies and gentlemen in the jury. This is a Latin root. What's up?
Right. Come on. They'll believe it. I believe it. It worked and you killed it and you killed this podcast. Thank you so much for being here. I learned so much. I know the listeners are going to learn a lot. You are truly killing it. This is so helpful. So just thank you. Thank you for taking the time to do this and dropping all these gems, man. This is great.
Thank you so much, Akeem. I really appreciate it. I said that right this time, right?
Yes, you got it right. You got it right. You killed it.
I want to mess it up. People mess my name up
Nah, you did perfect.
all the time, and I get personally offended. So I don't want to do
it's
that.
all good. It's all good. And I didn't mess up yours, right? I got yours right.
No.
Isaro.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Thank you. I thank
Of course,
you.
of course, of course. All right.